Welcome back to Washington Watch. I'm Joseph Backholm, sitting in for Tony today. A reminder that the website is tonyperkins.com. Now, it takes a special kind of person to deny meals to needy children just to make a point about gender identity. But it looks like President Biden may be willing to do just that. According to recent guidance from the United States Department of Agriculture, schools must comply with Washington's standards on gender identity and sexual orientation, or lose their federal meal funding. Is the Biden administration prepared to stop Tampa Christian schools from feeding low-income students until every bathroom, locker room, and sports teams is open to boys who claim to be girls? Joining me now to discuss this is Erica Steinmiller-Perdomo, legal counsel for the Alliance Defending Freedom, which is taking the Biden administration to court over this case. Erica, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you heard my description there. Tell us a bit more about this program and why it's being threatened.
Yeah, well, your description was spot on. Right now, ADF is representing Grant Park Christian Academy, standing up against the Biden administration's radical redefinition of sex in Title IX that's threatening to take away school lunches from children in this low-income school.
Now, you guys have, of course, taken this case, presumably because you think the Biden administration's actions here are inappropriate. What's your argument on behalf of the school?
Well, not only are they inappropriate, they're unlawful. The Biden administration is violating federal laws and redefining this Title IX without going through the proper processes. In the process, they're violating the school's free speech rights and their religious freedoms.
And Erica, to that point, I know that the Bostock decision has created a lot of anxiety and a lot of problems in this arena. The Supreme Court said that redefined sex to include the definition of gender identity. Therefore, the Biden administration and many on the left say that means that this outcome is required. The school may not be a beneficiary of these funds to help fund school feeding programs. Is that a wrong way to look at what the law is at this point?
It's a wrong way because Bostock did not address Title IX. And Title IX doesn't say anything about gender identity or sexual orientation. So the Biden administration's redefinition in this area is unfounded. And the means by which they're going through trying to implement this on the schools is unlawful.
Now, Erica, if the White House's position were to stand and they were to defund all feeding programs connected to religious organizations or schools that have a conviction that boys cannot become girls and girls cannot become boys, how many school lunch programs would be affected?
Well, this isn't just a problem for the religious schools. Title IX applies to all schools and programs that receive federal funding for its nutrition programs. So we're seeing this across public schools, charter schools, private schools, any schools that are participating in the National School Lunch Program. Through that program, these kids are getting breakfast, lunch, and after-school snack in the schools. So the families, especially at Grant Park Christian Academy, they rely on these meals being provided for their kids. They come from a low-income community in Tampa, Florida, and Grant Park Christian Academy is a service to that community. Mm-hmm. They're providing a Christian education. They're providing a respectful, loving environment for the children of the community. And at the same time, they're giving them these essential meals that the families need.
Tell us the status of this case. The White House has threatened to defund. Have they already cut off the funds? You guys are helping them respond to this. Where are we at in the process of resolving this dispute?
So the school's applying for its annual participation in the National School Lunch Program. It's been a part of this program for about 5 years. And right now, they've requested exemptions in light of these new policies that have come down from the Biden administration. And the Biden administration has ignored their requests for a religious exemption that's written into federal law. So school's about to start in a week. We have, just yesterday, we filed a time-sensitive motion in the court asking the court to urgently stop enforcement of the unlawful mandate, which would preclude the school from being involved and being approved for participation in the National School Lunch Program if they don't comply with all these policies, which include updating their websites, updating posters, publications in the school, and including this language that would apply far beyond the lunch lines. Grant Park Christian Academy would never turn away a hungry kid in a lunch line. But these Title IX regulations, they apply much more broadly than that. They would reach the bathrooms at the school. They would reach school uniform policies and allow biological boys to come to school in a skirt, or allow biological boys to enter the girls' private spaces. It would also impact the hiring and even preferred pronoun usage in daily conversations. So the impact of it, it extends far beyond the lunchroom. But we're going to court to ask the court to weigh in and just make sure that these kids get meals.
And Erica, you mentioned the many potential implications of this position that the White House is currently taking against schools. But if they can do this to schools, does it stand to threaten any other entities as well?
Yes, it'll impact other entities that accept federal funding for nutrition programs. So it goes beyond just the National School Lunch Program. But the case that we're dealing with is focused on making sure that kids in school receive meals.
And finally, what do you expect the resolution of this case to be, and how long do you think that's going to take?
Well, we have a court date next Thursday, and ADF attorneys are going to be arguing as to why this mandate is unlawful, why it's violating the school's religious freedom and their free speech rights. And we're hoping for an answer from the court as early as next week after we make those arguments. And that would just ensure that going forward, these kids and their families know that they can rely on Grant Park Christian Academy providing them meals in school.
Well, and that it seems like such a small issue, but of course for the families affected by these programs, it is not a small issue at all. And it really is tragic that we are having to go to court to insist that the federal government just cooperate with different people, because really this is essentially the federal government saying, we don't like what you think about this, therefore we will not help you feed kids who might go hungry otherwise. It's a terrible position, but we thank you, Erica, and everyone at the Alliance Defending Freedom for your persistent, consistent, and courageous defense of religious freedom for all of us. Thanks so much for your time as well.
Thank you for your support.